Satnam. Who else just came on the phone? Satnam's here, and who else?
Satnam, this is Nora.
Nora. Where do you live,
Hello.
Nora?
I normally live in Juneau, but I'm in Seattle right now.
Oh, are you having a lot of rain?
Tons of rain. We're here
man.
because my...
Got your kayak out?
Pardon me?
Got your kayak out?
Not today. We're here because my husband is having quadruple bypass.
Oh my God.
Heart bypass.
God bless him.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we will all do heart breath for him.
Thank you. It's for Robert.
Robert. Okay. Good. Well, bless you. Okay, so who else is here?
Hargo Ben.
Oh, hi, Hargo Ben. How are you?
Hey, Siri Gian. I'm doing good.
Good. Is it nice there in Florida?
Yeah, it is nice. It's about 68, and it's sunny, a little bit of a breeze.
Oh, delightful. Delightful. Now, who else? Oh, by the way, I really love that question you put up on our Facebook group. I love the way people are answering it, don't you?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, so who else is here? Oh, somebody else is here. I heard the bell.
Carol.
Carol, another Juneau. Bless you, dear. Welcome. Do you know Nora from Juneau?
I'm not sure.
Probably seen each other.
Oh, okay.
Everyone seems to know everyone in Juneau.
Right. It's just outside of the city.
Yes.
Thank you. Who else is here? Well, okay. So Saranam, how's the weather in California?
It's been beautiful. It's we had a little rain a while ago, but now it's clear blue skies and a little on the cold side. if you can
Yeah, we
think
always
that.
ask Californians. Yes, what is the cold side?
Cold is like in the 60s or something, you know.
Okay, thank you. Oh, me. So who else is here?
Samasan Rahmani.
Hi, Satnam, welcome.
No, thanks.
Yeah. And who else is here? Well, Rahmani, you can tell us how the weather is here in New Mexico. Rahmani? Are you there?
Yes, I am. I just muted us because we're Tomas is needing help. But what can I do?
Well, if you need to help him, then my question is trivial.
It's taken care of. We're back on course.
Okay. So how's the weather here in New Mexico? You get to tell us that.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. Nice and chilly in the mornings. And I go out early to bring the chicken that's still living inside the kitchen outside. So
Are you serious? It's still living in the house?
Well, during the day she goes out to school. But at night I go out and she runs over and I pick her up and bring her back in. And she sits on the compost pot near the sink and keeps me company while I'm doing dishes.
How funny. How funny.
Yeah.
But I know little birds are really susceptible to low temperatures. I know that.
Yeah, she doesn't quite have all her full feathers in, so we're taking it gradually.
Okay, well, welcome. And who else is here? Okay, well, I think we should get started. Okay, so please sit straight. Long, deep breathing. Okay, and Baba Siri Chand is saying that this is a very special tuning in. So he says it is the day before our Thanksgiving. He says you may think that Thanksgiving is just today, to go and corral turkeys so that people can eat them. He says, no. He says it's more than that. He says, I'm sorry. He says it's been put in your U.S. Constitution, perhaps not on paper. He says, but the concept, the consciousness, has been put into the group consciousness of this country. He says, and the same goes for other countries where Thanksgiving is observed. He said it is a real, he says it is a day of prayer and reconstruction. He says, just as you have holy days in certain religions, he says this is a secular holy day. He says, so please don't forgive it. Excuse me, please don't forget it. He says, I know you were doing your best at many times to deal with your family relationships, your friend relationships. He says, but oh, my dear, he says, get over it. He says, just start laughing. Don't take it so personally. He says, just start laughing about those relationships. He says, after all, he says, this situation in Gaza and Israel, he says, is a situation between family members. Understand, it is a situation between family members. He says, and if you don't remember to take humor, to take a look of lightness on your own family relationships, he says, that only weights down the situation in the Mideast. He says, I'm not trying to make you guilty or anything. He says, no, there is no guilt involved. He says, but you can help the world tremendously. As you allow yourself to forgive, as you open to the lightness, as you open to the familiarity of love that goes back generations. It may not be on the face-to-face personal level, he says, but so what? He said, every situation is a situation to love from your very soul, from your very source. He says, okay, now are you ready to tune in? He says, please do your long, deep breathing. He says, from your belly, through your nose. He says, get all of the energy and all of those nadis, which are like meridian points. He says, get them moving, please. Get them energized. He says, every one of you on this call who listens to it or is here now has in some way dedicated yourself to service of this planet. He says it starts with yourself. He says, enlivening your nadis, bringing this full prana pavan breath good. Now he says focus. Focus and relax your energy at your third eye point. He says this is a consolidation. He says the same way that specialized ruby within the laser. He says as the light is focused through that ruby, he says the light from it then is no longer scattered, but it is focused and powerful. He says that is what your third eye point is. It is a laser ruby, among other things. So relax as you do it, using your long, deep breath. And as you tune in, understand that you are tuning in to what you blithely call the golden chain of teachers. He says this takes, he calls it a trip, he calls it a connection, a thread, a cone of consciousness, back through all generations, right back to the very source of infinity. He says we're all in it. We're all in it. None of us are outside of it. Know what you're doing. And with your palms together at the center of the chest, that is uniting the hemispheres of the brain at the heart center, Inhale to begin. Om Namo Gurudev Namo Om Namo Gurudev Namo Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Join me. Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Siri Gurudeve Namah, Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Siri Gurudeve Namah, Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Asare Namah, Siri Gurudeve Namah. Long deep breath. Beautiful. Long deep breath. This beautiful breeze, clarity. Allow it to flow through you. And flow out of your heart. On the exhale, allow this breath to flow out of your heart. Let it heal you. Let it open you. Feel the coziness of it. He says, know that you're not alone in the universe. He says, know that we're all one corpuscle, he calls it. We're all one corpuscle. And now, continue your heart breath and send it to each one who is on this call, as well as anybody who is listening to this call. He says, you know we do this every time because it really, truly is monumental. You really are creating the stability of this incredible, he calls it a group ball of light. What it means is a total conjoined consciousness that radiates, which cures, which heals, which gives upliftment. He says, please contribute to it and also receive from it. Keep up your heart breath. Good. He says, and now, continue the opening and send your beautiful heart breath. He says, we have a few places to send it this morning. We're sending it to Nora's husband, Robert, who is now having quadruple bypass surgery. May the doctor's hands be guided. May Robert respond with light, with life. Nora's with us today. And then also continue your heart breath to send it to Israel, Gaza. With the intention that their minds, their hearts calm, that forgiveness for the sake of peace reigns, and for the long term, inviting of true brotherly love. One single family. Good. Opening. And allow it to continue. Allow it to continue. He says, now, my dears, keep up your heart breath. He says, you may see the situation of abandoned brotherly love. You may see it happening in the Mideast, and you may see what is happening. He says, but my dears, he says, you must not stop there. He says you must look at this very same situation within your own household, within your own family ties, within your friendships, with your intended communities, such as your ashram community, your work community, and so on. He said those ties, he says, they are not to be discarded. He says, I'm not telling you to be run over by other people's insanity, by their insecurities. He says, I'm not telling you that. And I am not asking you to pine for their love and acceptance at their doorstep. I am not doing that either. He says, what I am asking you to do is to stand, to hold your own ramrod of integrity. That is your spine. That is your beloved Kundalini. That is your soul consciousness. I'm asking you to hold that, to pay attention to that, to understand that that is who you are. He says, please do that now. Allow yourself to radiate, to be in full consciousness and full kindness. He says, be present in this knowing, present in this experience, and present in the flowing. He says, do that now. With your heart breath, allow this precious energy to flow from you, and accepting this precious energy as well. Do that now. This is very good. Keep that up. He says, as you run up into roadblocks of those that you have felt separated from, those that you have blamed, those who have blamed you, he says, my dear, now is the time for the laser of forgiveness to move through those barriers. Allow that to happen now. He says you will see that the extension of that forgiveness, not forgiveness to say that what they did was fine, was virtuous. No. He says we're going to neutral on that one. He says, but to let go those ties that bind you into hurt, into hate, into repression, into oppression. He says, forgive those people, forgive those relationships, forgive the situations. Using your heart breath, forgive deeply. Forgive deeply. He says, if you are true in your prayer for world peace, he says you will start here within your own world. He says staying within the obsession of those hurts, those hounding emotions. He's showing me a picture of a Victorian lady laced up in a very tight corset. He says there's no way to breathe. There's no way to love. All you can do is faint as you lose the breath of life. He says free yourself. Dissolve that laced-up corset by forgiving. You may say, but then who will take care of me? Well, he's asking, do those hurt feelings, do they take care of you? Or do they take you straight to the bottom? It's there for you to look at. He says your worries, your feelings of desperation, your feelings of being sliced out of the pie of love. He says it's time to let those go, to let them be dissolved, to forgive them, so that, in fact, you do not keep yourself suspended in that lack, those insecurities, that sadness, that weeping. That's what you do when you hold on to them. He says, in fact, forgive, to let them go, let them dissolve, so that they may be infused with light. He says the light can only emerge when there's space, so to speak. You're making space as you forgive. You are making space for the infinite light. The light of clarity, the light of love, the light of joining. He says it may turn out that you never actually, on this time and space range, he says you may not possibly ever re-merge with your family members and so on this everyday conscious level. He says, but that's okay. He says what we're looking for is the deepest level. When you hold on to those old hurts and dramas, he says it is though you clog up the airwaves. You clog them up on the, the collective level, the collective energy level. You know, people often complain about the microfit waves that power mobile devices and so on. My dears, have you ever thought about the energetic waves that are being clogged up by our inhumanity, our hurt, our hate of ourselves and others, our claws of desperation? Yes, my dears, he says, they are clogging what you would call the airwaves of our collective consciousness. Keep up the breath, keep up the forgiving, to allow the light. He says this light is like water. As soon as space is given, water will flow in it, through it, and seek its own level. But since the tightness, the clogging comes from our own hearts, not to be guilty about it, because, you know, we have gone through this whole path of original forgetting and now remembering. He says it has been part of the path, and the clearing now continues to be a very important, most extraordinary path of the future to allow the light. This light, this all-pervasive light that heals all, he says that is pure forgiveness. That is pure healing. That is pure knowing. Let there be no reticence to allowing the light to approach and to fill you. every bit of your consciousness, every bit of your aura, every bit of your mind that may have been clogged. He says, do you take balls of poop and wrap them in silk and ribbon and hold them in a jewelry chest? He says, if you hold upset, worry, unkindness, separation dear to your heart, he says, this is what you're doing. He says, it only smells. This causes infection. He says, keep scanning your horizon, keep scanning your heart to see what puzzles you, to see what hurts you in relationships, and forgive it. Forgive it. This is your cleaning. This is your caring. This is your device of transformation. Allow it to be dissolved. Allow the light to shine through it. And no matter what kind of terrible things you may have suffered, he says, allow it to dissolve. You may panic and say, but then where will my love come from if I let that yearning go, that need, that insecurity? He says, well, you ain't going to get it where you're trying. You've proven that over and over and over again. It only brings you more pain. He says, sweethearts, continue to courageously clear. Use your heart breath. Continue to courageously clear each relationship one by one. One by one. Until you get to the root. He calls it the root chakra. To the very floor, to the basement of each one, to realize all is cleared. Let go in that relationship. Keep up the heart breath. Let it go. Because, there is no loving fruit as you hold the pain. The pain takes up all of the space. Allow yourself to be unclogged. Dissolve the hurt, the pain, the loss, the regret, the grieving. Kindly use this heart breath. And let light fill in the space. Liquid light, let it fill in the space. Let it fill in the space in your heart that was taken over by that which hurt you. Let this light come in and let it nourish you. This light that now has space is the elixir, the healing elixir of total nourishment, of kindness, of love. Let it take over. Let it surround you. Let it penetrate you. It's precious, warming, kind, clear. Love that has no strings attached. Love that knows your perfection. Your perfection being that you are the grace of God. Let your realization open as a most dear and innocent babe to the realization. He says, now this is not a simile. In other words, it is not as though you are this unending perfection of kindness, of openness, of creating. It is not as though you are. It is not simply a sweet little thing to say to make yourself take your mind off your worries. He says, oh no. Oh no, my dear ones. He says, you are the power. You are the humble perfection, the innocent vehicle of the innocent, of the Almighty, of the total infinite loving of the Divine Mother, of all that is. You are that. He says, claim that. Claim your true identity now. And as you breathe your heart breath, he says, let that liquid light fill every bit of you. Fill your lungs, fill your heart, fill your whole consciousness. He says, know who you are. And now you are simply shedding your old snake skin that you have grown out of. That snake skin are the hurts, the worries, the judgments, the traumas. Shedding it so that you may be this beautiful, huge light of who you are. He says you are shedding the illusion that you were small, that you were hurt, that you were unloved. Shedding it, please. Dissolving it. And as you do this, understand that this gorgeous light that flows impeccably through every corpuscle of your being also shines out into this universe, into this collective, to continue to transform, to scrub the airwaves. He says, you've heard of a clarion call? This is a clarion call of a vibrational sort. He says that calls the vibration of others who are ready to hear, who are ready to feel, ready to know. And he says, and it allows, he says it allows their vibration to come to yours in this infinite light. And it allows your infinite light to join with others. It is an illusion that you are separate from one another. It is an illusion. But it's the path. He calls it the path of self-salvation, in which you open up this small channel of thinking of who you are, this identity of I am hurt, I am unloved, I am unkind, I have suffered. He says it opens that. He says it transformed all of those burned pieces, transforms them, and nourishes this new skin, this new being, this new body of light that you are, and allows it to be spread and available to join with all. He says in this beautiful expanding realization of who you are, this light, he says, please send it to those who you had accused of tormenting you or not loving you. Please send it to them. wouldn't it be an extraordinary step if you moved on to the next level? To the next level of what you would call world peace, joined peace. Now, this does not mean that these other people have to act in any certain way. No. You're not demanding that. You've heard of the words freely giving? This is what you are doing. You are freely giving. Like a mother offering mother's milk to all who would take it. Not discerning whether this is my child, I reject that one. He says, no. He says, you've come too far for that. You join as the mother of the universe, the universal mother, the purity of the divine mother, and you allow this beautiful light that springs forth from your own heart, from your own center. Allow it to flow. Allow it to flow as water flows, as liquid flows, as mother flows, to where it is accepted, where there is space. And do not judge where that space is. He says, if you could see a map of the space, you will be absolutely surprised. He says, in this everyday consciousness, there is no way that you can judge where the space is. So let it freely flow. Beyond dimension. Beyond dimension. He says, after all, isn't that what you aspire to? He says, now he's asking us to take responsibility for what we aspire to. He says we aspire to know ourselves fully, no longer as this pent-up, unconscious child of creation. He says which frankly is simply a facet of the soul. It is simply a facet of the God of the universe. He says he's asking us to dissolve, to let down the blinders that made us feel that we were small, alone, unkempt, uncared for, so that we may flow as soul, as universe. He says the substance of light is what is known as Love, love. He says, allow that substance of love. He says, don't try to cover anything. Don't try to cover any insecurities, hurts, blames, judgments with this. He says, but forgive them so that they may be disassimilated, and in so doing, rest in the beauty, this goldness, this sparkliness. They may become, as they're transformed, they may become this sparkliness of this love, of this energy, of this flowing light. He says, you are so precious. You are so precious. And when you blame, you judge, you feel lost. He says, you are denying. He says, don't judge yourself for this. He says, don't get guilty about it. He says, but in very practical terms, you are turning away the realization that you are this light, this love, this pure energy. He says, here is your work. Your work is begun. Your work will continue, and you will have final success, the final realization with no question. No question, no boundary to knowing, perceiving who you are and who we all are, and all of the roles that our non-comprehending self has taken on for ourselves and those that we have invited, the non-comprehending selves that we have invited to join us in our fisticuffs, in our disappointments, and in our joys. Every person you know and every person beyond has accepted to play their role for your benefit and for their benefit. He says, in a huge playing field of neutrality. He says, when you get back down to the source, it is pure neutrality. He says, but unclogging the airwaves of this community, unconscious community of life, he says, by unclogging those airwaves, we softly land in the neutrality of the realization that we are simply all the Godhead playing this game, that we are the oneness. He says, wouldn't you like to shake the old stuff? He says, of course you can keep it if you want. He says, time will take its toll on it. You will evolve. There's no question about that. You will come totally into the light, even if you do no spiritual practices, no forgiving. He says, it may take a while, but it'll happen. He says, or you may move now. You may move now into this full preciousness of yourself, which contains, which supports the beloved, the neutrality, the playing field of the consciousness of L-O-V-E. That is the substance. He says, you are great. You must never, ever forget that, because you are the God. You are the holy. He says, love, love, love. He says, now we could go on for eons like this. He says, but at this moment, he says, I want to hear from you, my beloved, about your own consciousness so that you may teach one another. He says, so who is the first one to share the understanding, the transition, the realization from their own heart?
Siri Gian?
Yes.
Tomas would like to share.
Yes, please, Tomas.
Okay. This is something I wrote a short time ago called Lift the Veil of Travail.
Oh, good.
Forgiveness heals the giver, and reveals that he or she, once perceived to be an enemy, is a person in need. To forgive requires no repeal of reason, nor does it condone obscene behavior. Rather, we persuade our loving natures to overtake misplaced fears. We postpone wearying and unjustifiable judgments and come into a state of trust and innocence. With lovingness, we move into the present moment and are present only for love. Forgiveness ends all misgivings pertaining to the future and the past, and unclasps the sutures from our thoughts, so we no longer wound ourselves with self-prophesizing doom. The real profit rests in embracing, not defacing, as we reappraise life and diminish strife. Soon we may choose to emphasize loving kindness, set aside pride, let light prevail, and lift the veil of travail.
How precious, dear. I just love your poems. You have embodied that consciousness in such beautiful language, such penetrating language. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if ever maybe it was possible to get them up on our Facebook group page, we would love that. And that is at facebook.com/groups, plural, GROUPS/Soul Answer.
And Siri Gian, that particular one is on page 131 of the book that hopefully is at your house.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have it written in a document that you could easily copy and paste onto the Facebook page?
I'm so computer not smart, but I can probably forward it to you or someone else who knows how to.
Okay, if you forward that document to me, I will copy and paste it.
I just don't get much time on the computer, and I'm not very good at it, so I don't get much better because I don't have a lot of time to spend there.
Okay, you're not worrying about it, are you?
No.
Okay.
I accept it.
Okay. Okay, so just send me the electronic document, and I will put it on our Facebook group.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tomas.
Good, thank you.
We are grateful. And who else can share?
Sure, Gian, I can. I was working mostly with the people that are kind of the big dark they, the ones that I don't know that are, multimillionaires and involved in the military-industrial complex and involved in the hidden government or the Illuminati or the current, whatever, the people who are kind of faceless but are, from my perspective, out of their pain and their ignorance and their fear, doing things that are causing huge pain on the very basic needs for people all over the world. And it felt like a huge dark knot, kind of a ball of yarn that's all tangled. And I feel like the power of heart breath continues to untangle it. I'm able to use heart breath fairly fluidly now in personal relationships, but this one is so big and so old, and there's so much projection on the world level of how these people are the problem, and so it's a big job. And I guess I'm asking that everyone involved in Soul Answer, that we can create a beautiful circle of light all together around this tangled ball of stuck energy. And I suppose that's what we do every Wednesday, is when we get together, we do that. I just feel like the job isn't done. There's more entanglement there. And
but as he said, we start with the entanglement in our own hearts. That's what he was talking about today.
Yeah.
And also, all of these souls, you might say, have all taken on these particular personas. We have all made these agreements to meet together in this lifetime. So there is also a level of accepting. We're here together. We are brothers here together, brothers and sisters here together. And so it's also, he says, it's also a matter of joining hearts, not disconnecting them, but joining hearts, and like you say, offering that vibration to them. You are right. Yeah. It's very important to offer that vibration to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear. Did you want to say anything else?
Just that there's plenty of reason to stay in the embodied form a long time, because it's a big work, and as powerful as each moment is dedicated in love, there's a lot to unravel. And
that's the reason the yogis wanted to live a long time. That's the reason they have techniques for it, so that they could do a lot of work in a consciously in their body.
Yeah, and it also affirms to me that any time we can help someone feel safe enough to get in touch with their own heart and do their own healing work and send out that energy, that those contacts are endlessly priceless.
And of course that starts by us just being humble and being ourselves. That's all. And being the arms of light and love that allows them to feel safe. So.
We have some neighbors here that choose to stay very aloof and kind of, barely want to lift a hand to respond to a wave if they're driving past me. And I see them frequently because I walk on the dirt road that we live off of. And so I cannot take personally their projection, and yet I feel how deep and old their pain is towards white people who come into an area and buy land, and so to have compassion for their pain and just to keep very gently, not aggressively, but very gently present a countenance of hi, we are here together, we are neighbors, and I'm glad to see you. But gently, because I can overwhelm by trying to be too friendly.
There you go. It's a respect for them as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank
now,
you.
Who else would like to share their experience from today?
Hadi Munder.
Oh, good. Now, there's Hadi Munder, and is there someone else?
Mahandeva.
Okay, so, Mahandeva, hold on. And we're going to get Hadi Munder to talk, and then you, okay?
Okay.
Hadi Munder.
I love the idea of the knot, the big dark knot, and exploding it. I was doing heart breath, and these knots were just exploding. They were just opening and opening and opening. And so the combination of seeing the knots and seeing them open, and at the same time, like Ho'oponopono says, we've all contributed our muck to creating them, and that's why we'd say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. So it just
which is
just
very
love
effective.
Because as we explode the knots or jiggle the knots open, then the water goes through, and both ways.
That's right. Good. Thank you so much, dear. So that's what Thanksgiving is about. Okay, Mahandeva.
Yes, I was thinking about the thought of the more powerful and the more we allow that light through heart breath to come in and flow through us, the less ominous and dark the things that we feel we can't control are, such as the corporate America that seems to be causing so much difficulty and pain. But it just feels like the more we allow that light, the stronger we feel and the less scary it seems. And I was also loving the imagery of the corset, because when you think about it, when we have fears and we have things that we're holding on to in the pain, it so constricts us. It constricts our breath. And so through the heart breath, as I was imagining, just loosening that corset, the flow was just so incredibly freeing and peaceful. And I thought of the phrase, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. So it took me to such a great place. And, the imagery is, I'm so thankful for Baba Siri Chand and coming through you and giving us those tools to allow our conscious mind to understand that whole idea.
God bless you, dear. And he's thankful for you and everybody who listens to not only listen, but to be able to grow, move, expand in this. So, thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. That's interesting to me. When he showed me the picture of the corset, I went, huh? He says, well, you know, say it. I went, okay. So I'm glad to hear what happened. Thank you. So who else can share? Saranam, can you share?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
When I was in India, we went through this program where we had to look at the base relationships, you know, like with our parents and siblings, and we had to go through this process of, you know, healing the hurt and whatever was there. And it was such an interesting perspective that dawned on me, you know, like I realized it was just my perception of every situation that's going on in the world or in relationship, that's where the problem was.
Oh my God.
You know, and it was just so powerful to come to that realization that every situation, if you can look at it, is really just neutral. You know, like if there's a dog in the street, some people will run away from the dog, some people will go up to it, some will rescue, you know. Everybody has a different reaction. So, and this is just so powerful just to grasp that every situation happening in world consciousness is neutral. And the only energy making it negative or positive or whatever is to how each individual is reacting to it.
You got it, girl.
And it was so interesting because we all had to do it. We were in this big group, and India is like 12 hours ahead. So, and we even had to take it a step further and actually call the people and make amends. Yeah. And here it was, you know, noon in India, and we had to call people 1 and 2 and 3 in the morning in the United States. And there was this heaviness in this room, like, oh, I can't do this. It was like moving through mud. And then there was this one couple that, I mean, their childhood would scare anybody, you know, what they went through and everything. They were the first ones to make the move to call their parents. And after that, everybody just started giving their consent. And the whole room the vibration just changed. It got so light. You could just see the healing going on. So it's a powerful process if you can come to that realization that it's only your perception of the situation that needs healing.
Very, very beautifully put, dear.
And we were at the temple, we're going through this process called Parabhakti of how we first met Swami Nityananda, and there's this one individual that at the temple that's very difficult, let's say, for everybody. I mean, and sometimes she could just be downright nasty. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just go, here we have this all in common. And you can pick anything, you know, with anybody that you all have in common, whether we're just here as humans, you know. And I'm going to ask her to share with me. And that just opened up. I mean, you could see that she was just in a place of fear and insecurity, and she, you know, she looked surprised, first of all, that I was talking and asking her this. But I guess what I'm saying is take the next step and don't just keep it metaphysical inside yourself. Take the step and call the people. Once you come to that realization that it is your perception.
Fabulous.
You know, that needs, and then it doesn't matter how they react or how they respond.
If they say, don't call me at this hour, who do you think you are? You go, God bless you.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, dear. He is so pleased that you were able to share that with us.
Thank you.
So bless you all. Love you all. Love yourselves. Love all. It comes down to us. Okay. It's really, he's saying, understand when you say, I am I, understand that I is the all-encompassing I. It is the absolutely humble I. It is the I that Sadanam just talked about. It is the neutral I that encompasses all. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's sing this beautiful song and allow this marvelous, nourishing energy of light to flow through us, from us, to all. So sit straight, palms together, and inhale. May the long sun shine on you, all around you, and love your light within you. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Inhale. And bow to this beautiful coziness, this self-knowledge that is all knowledge. God bless you all, and we'll talk next week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving of kindness, holiness, love.
God bless you. Thank you.
Sadnam.
Sadnam.